How we doing, Conch fans? I got a good one for you today. We're talking with Key West High School Athletic Director Andrew Freeman. Welcome to the show, Coach.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I know you're busy. The school year just started. I know the campus must be buzzing with all the student athletes ready to make things happen on the field. So I appreciate you taking a little time.
It's no problem. I appreciate you and what you do for our kids and our community. That's and the support you give our programs. It's awesome.
For sure. Well, that's the whole point, right? I'm ready to get back into the stands, and I want to know what's happening with fall sports so we can be out there cheering for them. So wherever you want to start.
Yeah, we can start with the game last Friday. We had Homestead down here, and our kids made it a little exciting for us at the end. Probably for the fans, not as exciting for us as coaches. But it's good for them to have some adversity early in the season, especially with you never know how the game's going to go, how the year's going to go. So for them to have some adversity and have to pull it back out, it's good for them, and it's good for us as coaches to know what we're going to have throughout the year.
I thought, well, maybe I'll leave, by the fourth quarter, I could leave early. And then I look and I'm like, wait a minute, we got us a ball game right here, 35-34.
Yeah, I wish we could have ended it like that and had everyone leave early. But, I think we were picked to lose 42-7. So our kids came in there with a little bit of edge. It's a big lopsided loss that someone put on us. And our kids took it to heart. So
I'm looking forward to the season because, like you say, it was a preseason game, and for them to come out there with a chip on their shoulder, I loved it. That offense was on fire. 400 yards rushing.
Yeah, I told Coach Hughes, we had, I think it was 47 or 54 yards passing, and if we would have just switched it, we would have had 500 yards rushing and no passing yards. But always good to get the ball in the air. Being a former quarterback, and especially in this offense, when you have a good offensive line and good running backs, it's going to be hard to throw the ball because, why stop what's working?
Absolutely, and they couldn't stop us. That offensive line, I think I could have ran, got a first down.
Yeah, Rand was talking about the offensive line during the game, and he was giving a shout out to Chaz Jimenez at some point, and then he was saying that he thinks this offensive line might be better than one he ran behind. So it's a big shoes to fill there.
Yeah, you could say that again. And it was Rand Carthon preseason classic. It was our second year to honor him, and he was able to be here in Key West for a few days and soak up the love and be around the kids. And what an example he is to our young athletes. The sky's the limit.
Yeah, what a great opportunity for our kids and the whole school. He came to the pep rally, and for our kids to see that and be able to see that there is the opportunity to go do something like that and make it to the highest level, not only as a player, but to be the general manager of an organization, and then he was the director of player personnel for 10 plus years. So what a person for our kids to look up to.
I missed my chance to get my picture with him, but I got a hug. So I want to give a shout out to Isha Osborne because I know she puts a lot of work into making the weekend special for him and the fans. And I'm glad that the boys showed out and got him the win. I saw both you and him on the sideline, pointing, looking at the playbook and everything else. Once you're a football player, you're always a football player, right, Coach?
Yeah, and that's funny you say that because before the game, I was like, he's like, where do I have to be? I said, you can be wherever you want if you want to be on the field. He goes, I don't know if I want to. I just want to let the players play and all this stuff. And then he gets down there, and once you get down there, your instincts just take over. He was letting the referees have it. He was letting our kids have it. It was awesome. Our kids enjoyed it, and for our kids to be able to talk to him during the game, and then for him to see our kids play in person, it'll help them get recruited and go further in life. So it's awesome all the way around.
Key West versus Homestead, last second win, and thanks to volunteer coach Rand Carthon. I saw you on the sidelines in your Jordans waving it hysterically like it was a Super Bowl, which it sort of was. How did that whole weekend go? Because it was a celebration of Rand as far as I could tell.
Man, it was fantastic. You couldn't ask for nothing better. Like you said, they named the preseason kickoff classic after me last year. Obviously couldn't make it because I was with the Titans and doing our preseason process, but now I'm with Ryan Wilson, and he gave me an off weekend to be able to go home But it was my first time home in 10 years, a very long time. So it was great to be back home around everyone I grew up. Like you said, we beat Homestead 35-34, so that's bragging rights. Had over 400 yards on the ground, four rushing touchdowns. It was just cool. I got into the game probably a little too much. There's a joke going around amongst my friend group down in Key West that I was down there calling timeouts during the game.
Were you allowed to do that?
No, but I was just into it. I just so happened to be dressed the same as the coaches, so they didn't know if I was actually a coach on the staff or not. I ended the game doing conch jacks with the team and in the middle of the team breakdown. But shout out to everyone in Key West. Shout out to my folks at Island Dogs, Angela and Stevie. They took good care of us. Shout out to Andrew Freeman, the athletic director, Johnny Hughes, the head coach, Aisha Osborne. It was just a great weekend that they put together, and it was just good to be back home around my people.
We have a great home schedule this year. We've got 8 more home games, if I look correct.
Yeah, it's we lucked out on that. So we had 2 district games away last year. So with football, you play one away, you play the next one home. So we got those 2 coming home with St. Brendan and Miami Jackson, and then we played home and home contract with Somerset Canyons and Berlin Jesuit last year. And we played those 2 games away as well. So those are 4 home games right there. IMG, they're a white team. They come down every year. They're actually bringing a second team, and they're playing Marathon Thursday night. And then they're coming down to play us with the other team Friday. And then the other teams just reached out and wanted to come down. I think that's the good thing about when you start winning and having good cultures down here with the fans and everything, that you get teams that usually don't want to come down. I mean, I think we have Alabama coming down for softball this year, and they're ranked I think they're ranked top 10 in the country. So when you put together good seasons over and over, people start wanting to come down. It makes it a little easier to schedule home games.
And for you as the athletic director, that takes some of the pressure off, right?
Yeah, of course. Probably the biggest thing with being the athletic director is transportation and funds. So anytime we can have a home game and eliminate having transportation and having to put money out for transportation, it helps tremendously. With home games, we still have to pay. We'll pay the refs and security if we have to, but just the whole playing at home, being in front of your fans, being in front of your parents. Unfortunately, most of our kids' parents can't travel to the away games with work and everything. So being able to play at home is tremendous for us in our community.
Well, the stands were packed last weekend. It seemed a good crowd. The other thing I love about a football game is you've got all the football players, you've got the band, the Conch, the cheerleaders, the pep squad. So there's a couple hundred kids out there showing out, right?
Yeah, that's what makes it fun. And I was telling Rick Lopez the other day, I said, when you hear the band and the drum line coming, you get a different feel. Your skin starts coming up and you're like, oh, it's football season, it's here. So we love it. And Mr. Hernandez, he does a great job with our band, and it's awesome. The atmosphere out there is incredible.
Really is special. I wanted to, you mentioned Coach Hughes. Who else is part of that coaching staff? I think he's got 14 years coaching now.
Yeah, this is his 15th year. He's the head coach. He does the offense as well. And then Dave Van Loon, he's a defense coordinator. He's been coaching with him for, I'd probably say, 11 of the 14 years. The other 3, he went over and was the HOB middle school head coach. And then once his son Roman came over to the high school a couple years ago, he came back over. And what a smart defensive-minded guy he is. He was a defense coordinator when I was here, and he was a defense coordinator and coach when I was a kid as a water boy. So he's been here a while, and he does a great job.
You mentioned the officials earlier, and I thought they were a little happy with the flag. I don't know how many penalties. There was penalties I never even heard of. But much love to the officials. What I want to ask, I'll say that kindly. Do we have enough officials? Because I know in recent years we've had problems having enough officials, not only football but basketball, umpires for baseball, the whole thing. So where do we stand with officials? And if somebody wanted to learn how to become an official or reach out, how could they do that?
I think we're always going to have problems with officials down here just because it's so hard and it's so frequent. We have the same 5 to 8 guys for football, and I think it's been the same 5 or 8 honestly my whole life. So we really appreciate them, and I know everyone gives them a hard time, but I appreciate them because if it wasn't for them, we can't play the game.
Absolutely.
But they're under the Monroe County Officials Association, and Paul Rowe is the executor for that. And I know he is taking anyone that wants to be an official. He's helping them with the process of it, and it's a hard thing because when we have to get officials from out of town, then we have to pay for them to stay down here. It puts an extra amount of funds together that we wouldn't have if people down here were doing it. So, you pay their official fee, and that can be, depending on the game and how many officials we need, that can be anywhere from $200 to $1,000 just for a game. And then for, let's say, baseball, we're playing a weekend. So you're doing that twice, and then you're paying for a hotel room for 2 nights. So you're probably looking at close to $2,000 just in officials. That's when you have to pay for rooms and everything else. So it gets pricey.
And that's another area of responsibility for the athletic director, right?
Yeah, it's another fun one.
Yeah. So I'm sure you have a lot of people that are happy to, give you suggestions on how to do your job. But one person you might take advice from is your Tia Netta, who was the athletic director years ago.
Yeah, I get a bunch of stuff from her. She was the AD when I was here in school, so it's nice to be able to call her. I call Justin all the time. And then my uncle, he's also the athletic director up at University School in Fort Lauderdale. So I'm in his ear all the time. And then was introduced with him to Lazaro Fernandez up at Baylin. He was at Gulliver for 10 plus years before that as the AD. So I just have a great, I guess, crew, you should say, that I can call and ask questions to. So I'm very thankful for that. And Netta does a great job. She was my mentor last year, just being a new teacher. So I think I bothered her more than she wanted me to.
I know she's happy to have you home. So as we all are. I was going to ask you, so you're starting your second year as AD. What's something that you learned last year that you're glad coming into year 2?
I'd say do everything a lot earlier than you think. Even it being a week out of trying to plan stuff and put stuff together, you probably do it a little bit earlier because you never know throughout the week and throughout each day, you never know what's going to pop up and what's going to need to be done. Right now we have our banner sponsorships going. And so whenever anyone brings me a banner to put up wherever they want, I go take it and put it up. So I stop what I'm doing, make sure that's up for them. So there's things that come up throughout the day. And if something happens with a student or an athlete and we need to get that taken care of, we get that taken care of right away. So anything I can do ahead for myself, it always works out.
Let me ask you, we have some other sports happening, right?
So our fall sports run from football, swimming, golf, cross country, and volleyball. So our volleyball team went away last week for a little round robin at Marathon. They played Marathon in Cold Shores. And then we go away Friday and Saturday this week for a tournament for both our varsity and JV. And then our swim team goes away Saturday for their first meet. And then next week, our cross country and golf team will start. So next week, we'll have all of our fall sports going. And that's when all the fun starts. That's when we have 1 or 2 days a week where I don't have an event or I don't have a team going away. That's what makes this job enjoyable, is the amount of games that these kids and coaches get to have. It's awesome. It's to see them and their happiness, from the kids to the coach to the parents. That's what makes this fun.
It must be a very rewarding job. Let's talk about volleyball for a minute, because I saw they played last weekend, like you mentioned, up at Coral Shores. Is Kim Butler coaching again this year?
Yeah, she's back. I think this is on and off her 9th or 10th year. I know she took a little time as an assistant coach when Sarah took over, and then last year she came back, and she does a great job with our girls. So getting her back last year was it was easy for me because it was one less, I guess, sport you could say I had to worry about coming in the first time because I coached with her as the PE teacher at HOB, so I knew her. I knew what type of program she was going to run, and she was the coach when I was here in school, so I already knew what kind of program she had. And for her to want to step back in was a massive weight off my shoulder because I had to hire. We hired her within the first couple of weeks. I took the job, so it helped me out a ton for her doing that. And she does a great job with our girls, and she gets them ready to play, and then they play their best volleyball probably towards the middle end of the season. And hopefully that goes for all of our sports. The preseason games and the tournament that they had last week for football and volleyball, you're moving your players around and seeing what you have.
Exactly.
Seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work. So she does a good job at that.
You mentioned HOB, Horse O'Brien Middle School, now has some athletic programs. They've got volleyball, they've got the football team. How do you think that's helping the transition for the athletes to high school and helping us to be competitive against some of these other schools?
I think it's helping a lot. For volleyball, for example, we had to add a freshman team this year.
Okay.
So we have 3 volleyball teams. We have a varsity, JV, and a freshman team, and that just goes to show you, like, just because they started the sport earlier now, so the girls are into it and they want to keep playing it, and it's more accessible, because other than that HOB team, the only other volleyball you can play is through club and traveling. So the HOB sports itself, it does a good job for our programs. And what's nice about it is you can show them what we're doing at the high school, coaching wise and scheme wise, so that they can start doing it at HOB. So when they get to the high school, they know what they're doing. So they kind of become feeder programs for the high school.
Exactly. I lived in Texas for a short time, and even Pop Warner football, they run some of the same plays as high schools. So the
Yeah.
kids learn how to execute those plays early on.
Yeah, when I was coaching up in Tennessee for the football team up there at the McMinn County High School, our coaching staff ran the middle school program as well. So we did our varsity football and JV football practices. And then right after, we had our middle school practices. So we ran through all the football teams. They ran same offense, defense. They had the same practice schedule. So when they got to us at the high school, they already knew what we were doing. They knew how everything was going to be ran. They knew the practice schedule. I mean, it was nice to have that set up to where the kids knew what they were doing and knew what to expect, not just as a program, but from us as coaches as well.
For sure. You mentioned the swim team. I think I read recently an article Joey Cook did that the swim team is starting its 30th year under Lori Bosco.
Yes, that is correct. But I mean, what do you say about that? That's 30 years of complete dedication right there.
And Coach Wise was telling me that he coached, he's coached many sports. He's still involved with football. And he was saying helping her coach the swim team was one of his favorite positions.
Yeah, I did see he said that. That's interesting.
A state champion recently in 2022. We had AJ Smith. And there's girls and boys on the swim team, right?
Yeah, so we have a girls and boys swim team, and Lori does a fantastic job. Obviously, she's been doing it for 30 years, and she knows what she's doing. It just goes to show you the hard work she put in for 30 years.
Yeah.
And the kids go out there, and you talk about those feeder programs and stuff, but that first day, those freshmen step out to the swim, I guess you could say, the pool over at the college. They know what they're getting into, and she does such a great job with those kids. It's fun. I went to my first swim meet last year.
I've never been to a swim meet. I might have to go. Is there a place for fans to watch?
Yeah, there is a place for fans to watch it. It was enjoyable. I got into it, and it's exciting, for the kids to see myself and Miss Palomino out there cheering them on and showing up for them. It was worth it.
You mentioned the kids. Do you have an idea of how many students participate in sports? I know it's early in the year.
Last year we were right around anywhere from 500 to 600 athletes. So we have about 1350 students at the school. So a little bit of half of that are athletes at the school. And with us being so small, most of those athletes are playing multiple sports, which is what's so great. Last year we had Kieran Smith. He was the first 4-sport athlete QS High School's ever had.
Wow, I missed that.
Yeah, so he he swims, plays soccer, and then he plays lacrosse. And then last year he came up to Coach Perkins and I asked if he can go run track. We got together and we talked with Coach Alberto, the lacrosse coach, and as long as it worked out with them as coaches, I was like, yeah, you can go do it. So he made history last year. I made sure of that when I asked Coach Wise, our historian, if there's ever been one. He said no. So Kieran does a great job. For a kid like that, he holds a 4.0 unweighted GPA. He's vice president or president of the senior class. He's involved with everything. And for him to go out there and play 4 sports is incredible.
That is really special. One of the things I was going to mention, here in Monroe County, we recently heard that we're an A school district. The academic rigor in Monroe County is legit. What do you think? You were a student athlete. How do you think playing sports helps students succeed in the classroom?
Well, it helps them with the discipline of life, and the discipline of sports it puts more on you as a person. You got to be on time. Like all the penalties we had Friday night, it was undisciplined jumping off sides. You fix that during the week. So those kids are learning, you jump off sides, you get a 5-yard penalty and your team gets hit for it. So you take that into life and you take that into school, and you miss an assignment in class, you get a 0. Your grade falls. Last year we give out scholar athlete awards for students that hold a 3.5 or higher GPA just during the season, and we had to order 3 extra sets of them. So it's awesome for our kids to take it into the classroom. Our coaches do a really good job pushing the kids in the classroom because the NCAA is pushing the GPA up higher, and with the way that college is right now with COVID transfers and NIL, the higher the kid's GPA right now, it's easier for the colleges to take them.
Going back to you being an athlete and knowing what it takes, you earned a college scholarship and played at the next level. What wisdom do you have to share with the student athletes who are very enthusiastic and energetic at the beginning of the season? What do you say to them to help them sustain that enthusiasm and energy throughout the entire season?
Yeah, honestly, it comes in different forms for all the kids, and you have to learn how to feel the kids out, and you have to figure out what makes them go. When I was coaching in Tennessee, I think this is where I started to start feeling kids out a little bit more, and it kind of works for anyone that's a real competitor. They think, everyone has good games, but not everyone needs to know they had a good game. Because you can always do a little bit better. You can always play a little bit more. But just because you scored 3 touchdowns doesn't mean you couldn't have scored another one. Or just because you scored 3 touchdowns doesn't mean you didn't miss a block. So, you got to hold the kids accountable, even though they played great. Sometimes they need to hear it. Sometimes they don't. So I think that's what pushes them. They want to get you to tell them that they did a good job at the end of the day, and they'll keep working towards that. And most of the kids I see throughout the day, and then when I get out to practice, the first thing I ask them is how their day is going. Because you don't want to just get out there and start yelling at kids or getting on the kids if you don't know what happened to them throughout the day, whether it's at home, whether it's at school, if they didn't eat anything, why are you in a bad mood? Can we get you something to eat or drink? There's a whole list of things that goes into it, and it's just feeling the kids out and seeing what you can do to help them become a better person.
That's good stuff, Coach. You mentioned cross country. When I think about cross country running, I think about the kids running in the woods. Where do they do cross country around here?
We're lucky enough that the golf course lets us put up a track around the course. We go out there. Our coach and some volunteers go out there and they set the course up, and we run at the golf course early in the morning, and we're done before the first people tee off for the day. So we're in and out of there early in the morning. So most of our meets are away. They run at local parks in Miami. It's definitely a sport I wouldn't have gotten into, and I tell Coach McGraw that all the time.
I wouldn't have picked that either. But that's one of those sports that you learn how to run in high school, and it's a lifelong sport. You can stay with it.
Yeah, and I think that's why a lot of people do it. And, we had 2 great girls last year that made it to the state finals. And Coach McGraw did a great job with them. So, those two, they set the bar for our kids, and we have a great group of young ninth graders that are coming in. So hopefully they follow in their footsteps and they can compete at that level.
I can't help but think about Mr. John Welsh, who we lost in July. He was a longtime educator in Monroe County. Most of the time spent at QSI as an assistant principal and a principal. And he was an avid runner. He ran marathons all over the world. And when I think about track and cross country, I can't help but think about him. So maybe we'll have an angel watching out for the kids.
Yeah, it's an angel watching out for our kids for sure. There's no doubt about that.
What about, is tennis one of the fall sports?
Tennis is a spring sport.
Okay.
So
All
they
right.
get going. They get going same time baseball, softball, lacrosse, and track. And the state keeps moving everything up. So once we get done with Christmas break or winter break, spring sports start.
Do you think that pickleball will become a high school sport?
I'm not sure. I know we got kids at the school that want to start a pickleball club. So there's kids that want to play it. They come up to me all the time asking if we can start a club. So it might make its way there. We'll see.
Last year we went to one of the away games, St. Thomas, and there was flag football, girls flag football playing. I was talking to one of the referees, and he had told me he just drove from Miami calling another game, and that girls flag football is really big up on the mainland. Have you had any discussion about making that a sport here in Monroe County?
Yeah, we'd love to. It's hard. You go back to the amount of kids we have that can participate in a single sport in that season. And at the state meeting this year, they were talking about maybe moving flag football to a fall sport. If they did that, I think we would be able to carry flag football for the girls. Actually, I think it's one of the fastest growing sports in America right now. So it's growing everywhere. If they moved it to the fall, we'd definitely have it.
That's interesting, right? Because we have a lot of our girls that play softball and are in track in the springs. Yeah, maybe the timing of it. I was curious if the junior football league was going to do flag football for girls. I know there's a tournament sometime in the spring that the city does for flag football.
Yeah, I think so. I know we have a few girls at the high school that play in those tournaments. So I think it'd be a great sport for us. And if the state moved it to the fall, we'd definitely be able to have it here at the school.
Is golf a fall sport?
Yeah, golf's off and running. Our head coach is Josh Bassett. Last year was the first year I met him. He did a great job last year with our kids, and he's just continuing that. We have a great group of boys and girls out there that he runs, and those kids they're ready to go. And it's funny because they got to carry their bag. You go golfing and you think you can drive the golf cart around and everything. The FHSA doesn't allow you to do that. So our kids have to carry their bags or put them on the rolling cart and drag them behind them. But he does a great job out there. It's hot. It's muggy. Our golf course holds water. So it's
mosquitoes and iguanas chasing them around.
Yeah. He does
Do you play any golf?
job. I do not. I went golfing on a company trip and it did not go well, so I don't golf.
I went to the driving range one time and I just kept shanking everything to the right. It was like I was trying to hit a home run. And
I think my baseball swing does not go over to a golf swing any good. It's not good.
So, Coach, you played multiple sports. I know you played football and baseball, obviously. I heard you were on the track team.
I did. I ran track for a year with Coach Perkins. It's probably his most favorite year he's ever had coaching here.
I'll have to ask him. I'll have to ask him about that.
He'll probably tell you it was his worst year. No, and then I tried out for the basketball team one year. I made the team, but I was coming off shoulder surgery, and it was going into baseball season, so I ended up not playing, and I just focused on baseball after that.
You mentioned injuries. Our athletes now seem so much more sophisticated, right? With the nutrition and the weightlifting. But I also see them getting injured a lot. So, like, where's the balance? Injuries happen with sports, but do you think there's such thing as too much playing time?
I think it just depends on the sport and what you're doing. You can do too much of anything. I can sit here in the office for too long,
Yeah, good point.
So it just depends on how you use your body and how you take care of it. There's so much information in today's world that our kids can look up and see any type of rehab, any type of nutrition. How can you get your body back to 100%? And then, we finally hired a trainer, and I think that's going to help us prevent injuries a ton. With John here, he's going to do a great job with our kids and take care of our kids, and we're excited to have him. But as far as our coaches go, I think they do a good job of getting our kids ready and putting them in the best positions in the off season and the preseason.
So one of the things that I'm often curious about is some sports we play marathon and Coral Shores, and some sports we don't. How's that work? I wasn't sure if it was the size of the school or if it was the sport.
It's a little bit. It's a little bit of everything. Basketball has always been one that we play them in. But whenever we can play them and they can play us, it's a great atmosphere for our kids. I was never able to play marathon in any sport in high school, so I can't speak on playing in that atmosphere. But being a student and going to the basketball games and sitting in the student section, we had a great time when we played marathon in Coral Shores.
I got to interview Coach Joey Gonzalez, the baseball program there at Marathon, and I know he wouldn't mind doing some kind of showcase or something like that where the baseball programs could meet. I know as a fan, I would love to see Marathon and Coral Shores play, even if we didn't play against each other, but have some kind of opportunity, a showcase to be able to see some of the other athletes in the Keys, because I think we have a lot of really good athletes here.
Yeah, we do. I think the whole county itself last year had a great year for athletics. All around. Marathon's basketball teams had a great season. Their baseball team had a great season. Coral Shores baseball team had a great year. Their football team had a great year. So, we just build off that, and you got to support everyone in the school district and the county. At the end of the day, there's only 3 schools down here. So we try to take care of each other as much as we can. And Lance does a great job at Marathon, and Ed does a great job at Coral Shores. So, whatever we can do to help each other out, we do. I'm excited for their success, and I know they're excited for ours. So I hope they have great years this year for all their sports, and we can all have another great year, and all of us can make more runs in the playoffs and hopefully make it to the state tournament in some of our sports.
That sounds real good to me. I'm ready. I'll put gas in the car and let's ride.
I'm ready too. We have I was talking to Coach McDonald up at Marathon. He does some of the Keys Weekly stuff, and I was telling him that we should have for our athletic programs this year, we should have a really good year. Most of our programs are filled with juniors and seniors, and those kids have been playing since they were freshmen. So we got 3 to 4 years of experience all around. Our soccer team won the district tournament last year for the first time in 10 years for the boys. I mean, we only lost 1 player. So we have that whole team coming back. Coach Paul's got the girls soccer team going. But we were young last year, so we're going to be experienced there. So, and then our James Osborne, he's going to lead us on the basketball court for the boys.
Yes.
And then our baseball team, we're hoping to make another run, as well as softball. And then we're pushing to win district tournaments. And then I think that should be like one of the smaller goals our programs have is a district tournament. And then we'll begin to push to regional championships and then state championships after that. So winning the small stuff first and winning each game each week, and then you just keep going. Sometimes it's got to end at some point, but you rather it end with a W than a loss. So
yeah, absolutely. That last game is like an abrupt stop. It's like you go through this mourning and grieving process as a fan.
You're going to grieve anyway.
Yeah, we can't get enough of it. And I say go ahead and order you a new trophy case. Fill that trophy case up, get you some state championships. And I agree, the district championships, that should be the standard, right? That's just what we expect. And then we just keep building from there. Well, Coach, I appreciate you taking time. I know it's a busy time of year with school just starting and everything. It sounds like the future's bright for QS High School sports. I hope that you'll come back and talk to me maybe in a couple months. We'll do a season check-in and see how everything's going.
Yeah, we'll get on that, and then we'll start talking about our winter sports a little bit.
All right, that sounds good. Let those coaches know that I'm going to be calling.
I will. Thank you.
All right, Coach. Go Conch. I'm Joy Nulisch, and I appreciate you tuning into my podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, drop a review, share, and subscribe because there's a lot of good stuff on tap. You can find more joyful content on YouTube, the socials, or check my website at joynulisch.com. Now go surround yourself with the things that bring joy to your world. Until next time, much love.